The late afternoon sun spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Pemberton Bistro, a high-end restaurant nestled in the heart of Portland. The soft clink of silverware and faint notes of a pianist's melody set the tone, classy, refined, and exclusive. It was the kind of place people dressed up for, where business deals closed over aged wine, and anniversaries were toasted under dim golden lights. Then the door opened. An elderly black woman stepped in. Her posture was upright, dignified. She wore a navy coat with delicate embroidery along the cuffs, a small black purse tucked under her arm. She didn't command attention, but somehow, her presence shifted the room. A quiet authority surrounded her. The hostess greeted her with a smile, tight and polite. "Do you have a reservation, ma'am?" she asked, her eyes flicking past the woman, just briefly, just enough to be noticeable. "Yes. Mrs. Holloway," the woman replied calmly. The hostess nodded after scanning the list and guided her to a table near the kitchen, far from the view, far from the ambience. Mrs. Holloway didn't protest. She simply sat, folded her hands on the table, and waited. And waited. Todd, the waiter assigned to her section, strolled past her table again and again without acknowledgement. Young couples who arrived after her were already sipping cocktails and placing orders. Still, she waited. When Todd finally approached, his smile was thin. "Sorry for the wait. We're a little slammed right now," he said briskly. "I'll be back in a bit." She nodded graciously. "No problem. Take your time." But it was a problem, and she knew it. So did a few other diners, who began to exchange awkward glances, sensing the imbalance. Todd returned, only to brush her off again. "We're short-staffed," he said, avoiding eye contact. She remained composed. This wasn't new. The kind of bias that hides in subtle gestures, slow service, and dismissive tones, she'd seen it before. And she knew better than to meet disrespect with rage. Instead, she waited with grace. But someone else had been watching. At a corner table near the bar, a sharply dressed man in his 30s sat with a glass of sparkling water. His name was Elijah Holloway, and he wasn't just a guest. He was the owner of Pemberton Bistro. And the woman being ignored? She was his mother. He'd been watching Todd's every move, tracking each slight, each avoidance, each fake smile reserved for everyone but her. His jaw clenched. But he didn't intervene, not yet. He needed to see how far it would go. "Keep an eye on table 12, he quietly told Dana, the manager. "Don't intervene. Just observe." As the minutes dragged on, the air thickened with discomfort. Conversations dulled. More eyes drifted toward Mrs. Holloway's table. Her water glass remained empty. Finally, she lifted a hand. "Excuse me," she said softly as Todd passed again. He stopped with visible irritation. "Yes. I'd like to place my order now, if you're not too busy." A heavy sigh. "I'll be back in a minute," he muttered. And that was the moment Elijah stood. The room stilled as he walked across the floor, measured, calm, but with an intensity that pulled every gaze toward him. Todd's smile faded when he saw who was approaching. "Elijah," he said quickly, attempting casual cheer. "Didn't know you were here." "I've been here," Elijah said coolly. "And I've been watching." Todd blinked. "Watching what?" "Watching you ignore my mother. The woman who sat at that table for 30 minutes without so much as a glass of water." The color drained from Todd's face. Your mother?" "Yes. The woman you treated like she didn't belong here." The pianist stopped playing. Every fork paused mid-air. Silence swept the room. "There's no excuse," Elijah continued. "And everyone here saw it." He turned to Dana. "Take over table 12. Make sure my mother has everything she needs." Dana nodded and rushed over, immediately filling Mrs. Holloway's water glass, offering apologies layered with shame. Elijah turned back to Todd. We'll discuss your future here later. But for now, you're done. Go home. Todd untied his apron, humiliated, and walked out. Elijah approached his mother, crouching beside her chair. His voice softened. You okay, Mom? She smiled, patting his hand. I'm fine, son. You handled it well. I should have stepped in sooner. No, she said gently. You let him reveal who he really is. That's more powerful. Around them, the restaurant stirred back to life, but something had changed. The air was more thoughtful, the service more sincere. At another table, a young woman leaned toward her partner. Can you believe he treated her like that? It happens more than we realize, he murmured. And most people just watch. Elijah heard them. Their words settled into his chest like weight and purpose. When his mother finished her meal, he walked her to the door. You did good, son, she said as they stood in the fading light. I just wish it hadn't happened. She touched his arm. It's what you did after that matters. You made them see. That's how change begins. Inside, Dana gathered the staff. Her tone was firm. What happened tonight is a wake-up call. Respect is not optional. It's who we are, or we're nothing. Elijah stood alone in the emptying dining room, the weight of the night still heavy. But in his mother's dignity, and in the lessons his team had just learned, he saw the future he wanted this place to represent. Pemberton Bistro wouldn't just be known for fine dining. It would be known for something far more nourishing, respect. And to you watching, ask yourself, what would you have done? Would you have said something, or stayed silent? Moments like these happen every day. You may not always see them, but when you do, choose dignity. Choose courage. Choose to care.